Well, South Korea's Constitutional Court is now in the process of reviewing the impeachment of President Yoon Suk Yeol after he attempted to impose military rule on the country. Now let's go live to Seoul, where I'm joined by Korea Pro Director Jeongmin Kim. Jeongmin, good to have you on the program. Now, this Constitutional Court can take up to 6 months to make its decision to either remove the president or reinstate him. But are we expecting it to take that long?
It really depends on how quickly the investigators will push forward with their probe right now against not only President Yoon, but also multiple cabinet members and also military commanders that are involved. They have not conducted an emergency arrest of Yoon yet, but today, throughout the day, the investigators tried to summon Yoon for investigation, where they kind of failed, though.
Yes, and do you think, with the growing number of protests that have been happening, we've seen so many over the weekend and the past few days, would there be, I suppose, some growing annoyance that, action is still not being taken and that President Yoon is still in power?
Well, for the public on the street, the major sentiment of victory, I should say, was this weekend when the National Assembly succeeded in passing the impeachment motion, even with some of the ruling party lawmakers going for voting in favor of Yoon. But going forward, until we hear the result of the Constitutional Court trial, it looks like the majority of the risk will come from whether or not the ruling party and the opposition party and the prime minister, who is right now the acting president, who get all the presidential authorities, how quickly can they actually cooperate to stabilize the governance, it seems.
And you alluded to this before, but there is that separate investigation into the declaration of martial law by the prosecutor's office. What will this office be probing and what could it lead to?
It looks like they are trying to gather testimonies of the people who got advance notice among the officials and the commanders, cabinet members from Yoon or then Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun, who was a key man in the martial law declaration. So that's one thing. What exactly Yoon go through in terms of proceedings before declaring the martial law? Did he abide by the rules? And second part would be his intention, it seems. The prosecutors will probably look at whether or not his emergency martial law declaration was, in fact, with a motivation to upset the constitutional order, or was it actually to restore it due to certain evidence, like President Yoon has argued so far?
Yeah, of course, we see that, the president has lost a lot of support broadly within the parliament, the majority, and there are, of course, members of his party that sort of cross the floor to vote and support the impeachment. So the question that many people are asking is, why is Yoon clinging to power at this point of time?
Well, technically, he does not have presidential authority, but it looks like he is not giving up on some public support that he still wishes to get. He, in his final speech defending and doubling down on martial law rather than apologizing, he said that his martial law declaration was due to actual national security concerns that he had, looking at what he thought was potential evidence at the National Election Commission, for instance, of a election fraud from the opposition. So it looks like he is still clinging on to a sense of power rather than actual power, so that the conservatives, some factions of the conservative public, will be rallying on the streets to sort of do a counter-protest against the people who call for his impeachment and stepping down and immediate arrest of President Yoon.
Are those counter-protests happening?
They are happening. They're happening right now, right next to our office building, day in and day out. But the scale is much, much smaller than the protest in front of the National Assembly, which is usually the people, the majority of the people who call for accountability for what Yoon did on December 3rd.
Yes, and also at the same time, we are seeing that the leader of Yoon Suk Yeol's People Power Party, Han Dong-hoon, has stepped down. He supported impeachment. So what do you think might be the impact of his resignation?
Well, the impact of his resignation is immediately a party division. It looks like there are around 22 to 23 pro-Han, moderate, district elected, mostly lawmakers in the People Power Party, who thinks that Yoon's martial law was directly against South Korea's idea and philosophy of conservatism. So for these lawmakers who voted in favor of Yoon's impeachment and also to vote down the martial law on the night of crossing over the wall of the National Assembly, they will actually face very difficult time politically in order to get reelected in the future and get nominated by their own parties.
Okay, Jeongmin Kim, thank you very much for your analysis. Appreciate it.